Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Peace, and on this channel we talk about everything product marketing. So today we are going to talk about what you can do to transition into product marketing in 2024. Please stick with me to the end of the video because I'm sharing a step-by-step guide which I use to transition in my time, and I know that it's going to be very useful to you. So the very first thing you need to do is to start with research. And you want to understand 5 things when you're doing your research. Number 1, what does product marketing really involve? What does a day-to-day look like? What are the skills required? How does the job function fit into the business? Number 2, you want to understand what product marketing skills are crucial for success so that you can start building the skills. Number 3, you want to also know how you can apply your existing skills into product marketing skills, especially if you're not a beginner, like if you've had another career and you've already built certain skills already. And number 4, you want to understand what type of company and industry resonates with you. So if you're into finance already, maybe the finance industry might resonate with you more because you have like experience in finance. So you want to really understand that. And then finally, you want to understand what company growth stage resonates with you, because if a company is a startup versus an enterprise, these two types of companies require different skills. So we're going to go right into all of these different things as we go down in this video. The first thing is to understand what product marketing involves, yeah? And the only way that you can know this is by doing a lot of research around product marketing. So what I did in my time was to follow a bunch of product marketing leaders on LinkedIn, watch a lot of videos on YouTube, followed a lot of Google posts, and just immersed myself in the product marketing world. And this is what you should be doing as well, because the more you learn, the more you read about product marketing and its functions, a day in my life, all this kind of stuff, the more you understand the role. But you want to be very careful because product marketing is very broad and there's a lot of misunderstood conceptions about the field. So if you follow the wrong person or you pick the wrong thing to read, you might just get confused. So you want to do this very diligently. But what I would say is product marketing is like that function in the business that exists to connect different departments. It exists to make sure that customers' needs are really heard, and exists to make sure that whatever the product is doing aligns with the customer. So you hear about that term called product market fit. It's what product marketers are brought in to do. They're brought in to ensure that the product actually serves the customer's needs. And they're also brought in to make sure that the entire company is aligned on this big goal of delivering the customer's needs. Because it's so easy in the middle of like building a product, marketing a product, doing sales, it's so easy for different departments to just lose focus. It's so easy for the product team to even lose focus on what they're building and why they're building it. So product marketing comes in to like connect that role. So that should be at the forefront of your mind as you do your research. But I'm pretty sure that once you start doing your research, you're going to know more. I will drop some links like in the description to like things you can go check out to gain more in-depth understanding of product marketing as a role. But yes, follow a bunch of people on LinkedIn, very valuable. There's a lot of thought leaders on LinkedIn that drop tips and talk about product marketing as a function that can help you begin to understand the role, because how can you even become a product marketer if you don't understand what product marketing does and the kind of value that you bring to a business? Now let's talk about the second thing, which is understanding the skills that are required to succeed in a product marketing role. And I know technically you're going to want to hear things like, oh, GTM strategy, copywriting, and this is true, you require these skills. But for a product marketer, the way to be thinking about it is a mix of strategic, tactical, and creative skills. Now, strategic skills are those skills that help you do very well in things like a GTM strategy, a marketing launch plan, in understanding how to, create a customer onboarding journey, how to go about your content marketing plan, how to go about allocating your budget. You need the strategic skills to do these things. But as a beginner, when you join a company as, the first time you're joining as a product marketer, you may not be necessarily required to, bring in lots of strategic skills, because you do build this with time. Unless, of course, you've had like a marketing role in the past, like in your previous career, and you've done marketing for a long time. So yes, it can happen that when you join the company as the first time as a product marketer, that you are required to bring in some strategic skills. So it's very important to have that at the back of your mind, because of course, like before you go ahead to execute on stuff, you need to have a good strategy. You need to have a good strategy based on like very deep thought about the customer, the product, and how it can fit, right? So you need to be thinking like that. You need to be thinking, oh, we're creating this product for this customer. What about this customer's needs can this product solve? How do we position this product in a way? How do we even communicate this product in a way that customers feel like this product is right for them? How can you differentiate from your competitors? So that entire work that goes into your positioning, messaging, differentiation strategy, USP, GTM planning, those are very strategic skills. So you need to know this. Like, the skills on themselves one by one is great, but there's that deep thought that goes into it that's very strategic that you need to build as a product marketer. And the second one is tactical skills. So this is where you start thinking about, oh, now you've built like this great strategy around the GTM, or maybe someone else in the team built a nice GTM or has a great strategy for creating positioning and messaging. How can you execute on it, right? So how do you go about actually achieving all of the things you say you want to achieve? If you say you want to acquire 10,000 customers, and in acquiring 10,000 customers, you have a list of like 12 different things you have to execute on, you need to be able to execute on this. And this does not just mean, oh, you say, oh, you need to put a blog post. So you write a blog post and post, right? You need to understand, okay, before I put a blog post, who do I need to talk to within the company? Do I need to sync with sales? Do I need to sync with product, just to make sure that I'm getting everything right? So execution on its own is also, you need to be very detailed about it. You need to be doing it in a coherent way, just so that it makes sense and you're not just doing blind execution. And for the creative skills, when you see those campaigns that really stand out to you, they really stick out, or you go to a landing page and the landing page is just really good. Like, the product does a great job of explaining what it is. You can understand what next to do. Those are creative skills, because like, people can do strategy, people can do tactical execution and stuff, but what really makes it stand out, especially when it comes to GTM execution, is the creativity behind it. So that nice little touch that makes it very different, that makes it go viral, that makes it really interesting to look at, that's creative skills at play. And you need to understand this. So that creative skill can be great copywriting, because of course great copywriting is great. It can also mean just being able to tell a story in a way that gets people hooked. It can be writing great headlines. It can be saying, you know what, I'm not going to do this way because everybody does it this way, but I'm going to do it this other way that, people still like it, but it doesn't seem so different from what people already know. So yeah, you need to be able to build your skills like around these different areas. It'll help you a lot. And yeah, if you can, you should definitely think about this as you're thinking about your skills. Do not just think about product marketing skills as, oh, I'm going to learn GTM, I'm going to learn positioning. Think about it from the holistic part of it, like, this is strategic, this is tactical, this is creative, so that when you're working on these skills, you're well-rounded. Now, the third thing, which is, how can you transfer your existing skills into a product marketing skill? So this really just means, if maybe you're coming from a content marketing background, for example, so you're familiar with writing press releases, you're familiar with writing articles for SEO, but maybe you've never written an article like how to get started using XYZ product, or maybe you've never written something like talking about product benefits, just maybe, right? So you need to start thinking about how this type of articles are written. Maybe you've never written a script for how to create a video, like a product launch video. So you now have to start thinking, okay, I already know how to write. I write content. So how can I write content that's more product marketing like? And then start building this like skill. So you can say, okay, let me create some samples. You take a product, whichever products that you admire or you like, anyone, and then you just write a bunch of articles, you write a bunch of product guidelines, product FAQs for them, just as a sample, so that your future recruiter can see that you do understand how to convert your SEO skills into very product marketing type of skill, right? So it's still writing, but you just need to see, how does the dynamic change between product marketing versus SEO, right? So that's exactly what I'm talking about. And it's the same thing with all the other skills that you have. If you probably worked, maybe you don't have content marketing experience and the experience you have is with lead generation and just doing ad campaigns and all of those. So how can you convert that into product marketing? You can change that into like data and analytical skills and say that you are able to understand like how to pick things, understand different kinds of customer segments, because you do segmentation when you're running lead generation campaigns. So you can definitely convert your existing skills into product marketing skills. You just need to be able to reposition them and then practice how you can like utilize them in a product marketing way. And now the fourth thing, you have to think about what type of business you want to target and what type of industry you like. So when it comes to industry, my rule of thumb is you're always at an advantage if you start trying to transition within the same industry you've been working at, or an industry that's slightly similar, pretty much an industry that you're familiar with. Because just imagine someone gets your CV or your resume and they're trying to consider you for a role. You have no product marketing experience, in quote, but you also have no experience in that industry. It makes it difficult. Like, you need to really stand out for them to say, let's give you a shot, right? But if you have experience within that industry, it makes it make sense. Like, they probably would think, okay, you already have like good solid experience in this industry. You also have some skills that you've picked up working in this industry, so let's give you a shot. So yeah, just look for an industry, but you also don't need to say, oh, if this is not an industry I'm familiar with, then I can't transition into another industry. You definitely can. It's just a lot easier if you're transitioning within an industry you're familiar with, or an industry that's similar to where you're already working now. So it's something to think about. But fintechs, edtech, agriculture, all of these different industries that exist, they have like slightly different rules and slightly different things that make them unique. So you want to be sure, like if you're deciding I want to choose a different industry, do your research to understand what this industry looks like, what are the considerations for marketing, because you might need to like have this information. In fact, you do need to have this information, because if not, then I don't know, it's just like why are you doing it? And then the second thing here to consider is the business type, because nowadays there's business, B2B businesses, business to business, then there's business to customer. Then within this interesting type of business, there's also product-led, sales-led, hybrid. So there's different types of businesses these days, and you want to be sure which type is more attractive to you. When I started my career, I started with a B2C, like business to customer, because it was easier to transition into, since I already had like consumer experience. And just like I was talking about industry, even if your industry is maybe retail and you're working in retail today, like I was, it's still not the end of the world. You can still convert retail experience to like business to consumer type of company. And then it makes sense. Like whatever industry it is, it did make sense for me to like say, okay, I'm working in retail, so I'm going to swap to a business to customer, because it involves individuals, understanding individual customer segments, unlike a B2B where I need to understand customer segments from a business perspective and say, oh, the decision makers for this industry is definitely like a group and not just a single person like in B2C. I hope it's not confusing, but generally you need to understand which one sticks out to you and which one makes sense for your journey. If you're used to working with companies, probably in your existing role, maybe you work at an agency and you're used to working with different companies, then you might be thinking B2B, because even though it's not exactly the same, but you do have some experience working with companies directly, you understand how the decision-making process goes. So B2B might make sense for you. And you need to also consider product-led, sales-led. Sales-led companies have skills that are required that some product-led companies might not require. For example, sales enablement. It's a skill in product marketing that most times you only see if you're working with a sales-led type of business or a hybrid type of business. So it is something to consider. So consider what a product-led company is looking for versus what a sales-led or hybrid type of company is looking for. And the best way you can do this is to review their job description. So just go look at a B2B company, review the job description they have for product marketing, and you clearly see what the skill requirements are versus what a B2C company has, or what a product-led or sales-led company has on your job descriptions. And then you clearly see, okay, these are kind of requirements they have. They require you to have XYZ skills, and these skills come in often. You can use ChatGPT here and just like put a bunch of these job descriptions and ask ChatGPT to give you a summary of the most required skills, and then boom, you have it. So you now know that okay, these are the skills you need to build if you're trying to target this type of company. I hope I didn't confuse you, but if you have questions, do leave like a message in the comments section. I'm going to just drop a link for you to reach me in the description as well, just in case you have questions. And the fifth thing you need to consider is the growth stage of the company. So which one of these growth stages do you like? Do you prefer startups, scale-ups, or enterprises? So in the tech world, you would usually see startups, you would see scale-ups, you would see enterprises. I know generally there's like small businesses, mid-sized businesses, large businesses, but that this entire startup terms, these are just like tech terms that they use to define like, oh, this is a startup tech company. They're pretty much tech terms, right? And startups are typically those companies that either have a product already and they're just like really new in the market. They're like 1, 2 years, 3 years old, and they're trying to make their product stick in the market, or sometimes they don't even have a product yet, but they're already they're building something. People are interested in their products. They're getting like a lot of whatever it is, like they're just trying to build something. So that's a startup. And the beauty of startups is that if you're trying to be a well-rounded product marketer, you're trying to build a number of skills, grow fast, it's just a very good start to your career. But the downside is startups can be disorganized, they can be overwhelming, and you probably do like the jobs of 10 different people. So it's something to think of as you're going in. If you're thinking about startups, if you like startups, if you like the chaos, but you also like the fact that you can always just reach the CEO, pitch something, get it done fast. You can also grow fast in your career. Like you can go from a product marketing associate in 1 year to product marketing manager in the next year. So if you like this, startup might be a path for you. But if you want something, if you want to work with a product where like there's a product already, the product has gained some traction, the product is growing, the team is growing as well, then maybe think about a scale up. And a scale up is just like, it's a startup, but it's now gaining a lot of traction and probably is riding on its own. It's probably expanding. Customer segments are expanding, product range is expanding, that kind of stuff, right? So the product has shown that it has survived the startup stage and now it's going to, it's growing. And so, yeah, I like scale ups just because, you get bigger budget than you do with a startup. You also do get like more people on the team, but it's a preference thing. So you just need to understand what your preference is. Scale ups are also good because if you work at a scale up, you probably get to work with different people in your team. You're no longer all alone, and it's just, I don't know, like a more structured version of a startup. Finally, enterprises. So enterprises are those guys that have like platforms. So if you think about HubSpot, Salesforce, these are enterprises because these guys have robust platforms. They typically require technical know-how, like you really need to understand a lot. You need to be an expert in your field to work here. So it doesn't mean that you can't transition as a product marketer into an enterprise, because if, for example, you have 10 years experience working as a marketing communications person, specialist, manager, then and you have like strong skills, or maybe you have strong brand positioning skills. You've been doing brand position for 10 years. You can definitely transition into a product marketing role in an enterprise doing product positioning. The good thing about enterprises is that you probably get to do one sole function. So you might be hired solely for positioning and messaging. Another product marketer will be hired solely for GTM. Another product marketer may be hired solely for customer onboarding and just like that, right? So you do get to like own something and build expertise around it. You can also be hired in another spectrum where maybe you're hired to just focus on one of the products, because like I said, enterprises, they typically have a big platform, multiple product lines. So you might be hired to just take, oh, this product, the other product marketer handles the other product. So you get to just focus on one product. Unlike startups and scale-ups where you might focus on more than one different product ranges, which is still good, to be honest, especially if you're trying to build a solid career there. So yes, this is how these are the differences with these types of company growth stages that you need to consider. And again, the best way to know which skill to work with is to view their job descriptions. Just go to their pages or just type like product marketing associate, product marketing manager at Salesforce, right? You might see a job description that just pops up, and so you can read it and see the skill they require, and then you know what to start practicing and what to start building on. One thing to note though is that every once in a while, enterprises, scale ups, like no matter how large the company is, every once in a while they do hire for entry level roles, and product marketing is one of those roles they do hire for. And you might just get your shot, so you need to just be prepared. You know how they say preparation meets opportunity. So if you really like enterprises and you feel like you don't have 10 years experience, but you want to do product marketing in an enterprise, you just need to prepare yourself. You will get the shot, because I've seen these kinds of companies hire entry level roles before. So you never know what would happen. Just prepare and be ready to show that you have skills that you can convert. The second thing that you can do to transition, like we've been talking about the first thing all this while, and that's like the research that you need to do, like all the things you need to learn and the things you need to consider while you're researching. So now we're talking about the second thing you need to do, which is to build your portfolio. So I'm talking about portfolio because not a lot of people think about this one. Maybe they do now, but at the time I was applying, I remember my manager saying, you had a portfolio, it's why we went with you, because we could see that you can do the job and we could see samples of you doing the job, right? So at the end of the day, for me, that was what made me get the job over the other candidates. So that's why I know that your portfolio is very important. And what your portfolio does is just have like samples. You've already done all this research that we talked about previously, so you need to now have samples of the skills you've practiced. If you practiced a positioning framework, customer segmentation, you just have a portfolio where you show how you went about. You pick a product and say, I am going to launch this product to this type of customer. And this is what I will consider in choosing a customer segment to target. I will consider their demographics. I would consider their pain points. I will consider the goals they want to achieve, because that's how a product marketer needs to think. That's where the strategic skills I was talking about comes in. What are the things you need to consider deeply? If you even take it a step further and say, these are the interview questions I'll ask customers, just think very deeply about how you can deliver a strong product to the market, how you can deliver it strongly. If someone else's portfolio, if someone else says, oh, I do product marketing well, they don't have a portfolio, then the hiring manager or the manager might just not understand how much you understand product marketing. It might just seem, how much can you even know about product marketing? You've never done it, right? But if you have a portfolio that says, this is how I would think about a customer segment research. This is how I would go about doing it. I'd interview customers directly. These are the kind of questions I will ask them. Then that just shows the manager that, okay, you get it. Like, you understand the process, you understand product marketing. And in the same way, you can also like have samples of some copies, like press releases. You can have samples of like a product launch script or product education guide. That just tells the hiring manager or the manager in charge of, like, maybe your manager, that okay, this person does understand product marketing. They understand how to apply it. Compared to every other candidate, you understand what the job is, and you have proven, like, with your samples, that you can do the job. So yes, if you've never had to like do actual product marketing stuff, maybe you've never launched a product before, it's not a problem. I never launched a product before as well, but I think for me, I picked LinkedIn, and I created this product idea that, oh, if LinkedIn were to do a product for job seekers that are just like recent college graduate job seekers, this is how I would go about launching that product. Just pick a product that you like and say, this is what I would do to launch this product, because at the end of the day, that's what they want to see. It's the reason they are thinking deeply about hiring you. Like, this person doesn't have experience, how can we be sure that she can do the job well? So you need to close that gap and just show them that you have samples you have samples to prove that you can do the job well, and you just need to be given a chance. So definitely do that. If you're lucky enough to probably plot your strategy a long time ago, maybe you want to work at Uber and you decided, okay, I want to work at Uber, so I'm going to do my portfolio around Uber and say, if Uber wanted to launch a product in a new country, this is how I would launch the product as their product marketer. You can make your portfolio around Uber, and then maybe you get a shot, and then boom, Uber sees the portfolio that you've made specifically for them. That's even more interesting. I'm just putting it out there. If you like a product really well, use that product, because you never know, you might get a shot to interview at that company or to apply to that company, and that portfolio just makes you stand out. And people will be wondering how you did so much work in such a short time, but they don't know that you've been preparing yourself all this while. So yes, a portfolio will definitely help you stand out. But you should think about these things when you're doing your portfolio. You should tell a story, because product marketers are storytellers. So if your portfolio is confusing, like it starts from it starts from a customer journey, and then you suddenly take the portfolio to writing samples, you suddenly bring it back to your positioning strategy, like your recruiter, your manager might be so confused. So you need to tell a story, like, this is how I would think about customers. When I now get this customer, this is how I would onboard them to the product. And when I onboard them, this is how I would keep them engaged, right? So you need to tell a story with your portfolio. You also need to make sure that it is visually pleasing. It is short and sweet. Your portfolio should not be more than 10 pages long, because, I mean, at that point, nobody's going to read or you're like an entire 40-page long portfolio. So you need to be thinking about this. And if you want, you can also use, like, there's so much like free websites out there that you can use to host your portfolio, just so it's like very exciting. The reason I used like slides for mine was because, well, I don't know, but I used slides for mine, and mine was like 10 pages long. And I think I preferred to use slide, because I felt like someone reviewing my portfolio can see everything in one, like at once, compared to like clicks where you get to click on website links and keep clicking. I just didn't want my portfolio to be all this clicky stuff, but you can definitely do it in an exciting way. I've seen like so many good portfolios that were hosted on websites, so think about that as well. It just depends on how you want to present yourself, but know that that portfolio is going to represent you, and that's probably what would make a recruiter curious enough to invite you for an interview, so you can talk to them about how you went ahead to put your portfolio together. But yes, definitely build a portfolio. So I'm going to be sharing a brief view of my own portfolio and what I did. So the first thing I did was to do a brief overview of what the product is, just so that the recruiter or the manager can see what the product is exactly. Then I tried to break down the problem that the customers will have and the solution our product provides. Then this is the goals and the metrics that I will be tracking. I also added metrics to track specifically, just so that it's clear that, okay, this is how I'm going about tracking metrics and goals. Then this is my buyer persona. Of course, it's not perfect, but for a beginner, this was good enough. And this is what ended up giving me the job. So yeah, I tried to put like demographics, things that just mattered for a buyer. Then my key position in the messaging framework, this is what it looked like. Very, very simple again, but it was my first time. So it's not supposed to be perfect, like I mentioned. It's just supposed to show the recruiter and the manager that you know what you're doing, you know how to think like a product marketer. So yes, this is what my messaging and positioning framework looked like. My other execution steps just broke down other things I would do, because if I start breaking down this one by one, it would take like 40 pages. So I just highlighted the competitor research I would take, user interviews, launch plans, communications, and branding. So this gives them a sense of, okay, this girl knows what she's doing. She knows that she has to do a competitor research. And these are the kind of questions that I would be asking. This is the kind of questions I'll ask my user during interviews. My launch plan would have a pre-launch, a launch, and a post-launch, and just all of those kind of things. Then I put like these copy samples to show them that these are kind of copies I would use for promoting it with paid ads, for example. Then this is the next steps page where I said the next things I would do immediately after is to just work on this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, which include like the press release, articles, a landing page, and a series of 12 emails to introduce it. And this is really it. Now, the third and final thing you should do to land your product marketing job is to create your resume. So I put this last because at this point, you have done like your extensive research. You've created your portfolio. So you already have like so much information, because your resume is like everything, right? That's the first thing the recruiter would see when you start shooting your shot to companies. And let me tell you something. If you have background, maybe you have currently your job title is personal assistant, and you work in a tech company, or maybe you work in any company, but you're the personal assistant to the CEO, and you're probably wondering, how do I match this in my resume? Like, this doesn't make sense. Yes, it actually doesn't make sense, but you know what happens is you should change that job title, because writing personal assistant to the CEO would definitely be like, this doesn't make any sense, right? So you need to you need to tweak your resume, and I'm going to give you those tips. So first of all, definitely change your job titles. Like personal assistant to the CEO, but you did a lot of content marketing, but you did a lot of lead generation activities, but you did a lot of something that's relevant to product marketing. Then switch it up. Change that personal assistant to the CEO to content marketing assistant or content marketing specialist or marketing communication specialist. I did it in my time as well, because it doesn't really help you. People need to see a history. Even though someone says, oh, I'm hiring for this role, even though they're open to people transitioning, people that have some experience and transitioning into product marketing, it can be very confusing if they just see if like you, I don't know, job descriptions that just don't fit the role at all. They don't even have anything to do with marketing. But you know that you've done the job, like you've done content, you've done like marketing campaigns, even though your job title was personal assistant. And also for those brands, for those businesses that use ATS software, they might just be looking at keywords. And then if your resume doesn't have any marketing keywords, any keywords that can make the ATS pick out your resume, then you would never get a shot, right? So you need to start thinking about your resume this way. You need to replace those job titles and make the job titles actually relevant to the job you're applying for, which is a product marketing job. So you don't need to say product marketing manager explicitly, but you can say something like marketing communications, content marketing, customer advocate, just something that's relevant to the product marketing function that doesn't seem like your experience is just unnecessary, right? So when you're also listing out your experience and the things that you did in the role, highlight only those experiences that have something to do with your role as a product marketer, those ones that can actually help you. And the only way to know this is to review the job description very deeply. If they say they want someone that can do product launches, highlight that in your resume if you've ever done a product launch. And if you've never done a product launch, you can highlight something similar to, maybe you did a campaign on social media, maybe you did a series sometime, maybe a content series. You want to highlight something you did that just made something cute. It can even be an intern kind of thing, but you want to highlight things that you did that are similar to the required skills that the job description has on it. Very, very important. Now, the second tip for your resume is to remove irrelevant jobs. So there's just some of those jobs, maybe those ones you had early on in your career where you were just trying to, get started. Remove them, because if they're not relevant to the product marketing role that you're applying for, it just has no business being there. It just makes you confusing. Like I said, product marketers need to be good storytellers. So your resume also has to tell a story. And if your resume story is that you're confused and disorganized, I mean, you can be disorganized in your career and you know that it's because you just really wanted to get started. But for a recruiter, it tells them that this person is like jumping from role to role. You're just pretty much doing anything. They want to see that you have a history of choosing specific kind of career path, because it tells them that if they select you to work with them, then you can grow within their company. It doesn't seem like the next year you're off to do something completely different. I don't know if you get it, but it just feels like, okay, we can train this person into this role because this person has had like a career trajectory that says they want to work in the marketing space. So yes, you should remove irrelevant roles and just adjust like your job descriptions as well. Also, think about adding keywords from the job description. If the job description says something like someone really good at content marketing, or let me think, if the job description says something like must know how to write white papers, case studies. So you want to have white papers, case studies in your resume, for example, right? Because these are things that will stand out to a recruiter when they're skimming your resume. They will think, oh, she has white paper experience, she has case studies experience. Okay, that's good. So some of those keywords, if you can put all of them, but you also don't want your resume to seem fake. So just pick out those keywords that make sense, that can flow with your resume, can flow with your experience, and put them in your resume. Even if maybe what they call it in your company was not, for example, customer intelligence, or maybe where you work at, they call customer research, but the job description says customer intelligence experience. You want to just switch that up, change research to intelligence, because that's what the job is calling it, right? So you want to make all these little tweaks and changes to your resume. This can also mean that you need to have like multiple resumes. But what I did is to what I do with my own resume is to have one base resume. And then when I'm applying for another job, I look at that job description, then I copy down my base resume and make the edit. So I never edit my main resume. Just, I never edit my resume, but I definitely edit like all those other resume. And then I save them in a special folder and I target the name of the job that I applied with that I used to apply. I tag the resume the name of the job just in case I get an interview so I can actually go and review that resume I used to apply for that job, because it can be a bummer if you tweaked a little bit of things or you tweaked your job title to fit the job title this job is asking for and you forget, right? That would be so yes, you want to make sure that you're keeping things organized just so that it helps you prepare better. And these are my tips. I hope that this helps you. Of course, like transitioning into product marketing. So for some people, it's very easy. For some people, they didn't even need to do all of this like brain work. But for some people, it can be tough. So I don't know what your story is. I don't know what your circumstances are, but you can definitely tweak them to like tweak. You can tweak all of these tips to fit your specific circumstances. You can also reach out to me. I'll drop my contact information below, like in the description box. So you can reach out to me and I can help you if that's what you need, if you need like a more guided experience. If you like this video, please drop a thumbs up for me and subscribe to my channel for more product marketing tips, because this year I'm going to be consistent with dropping videos like this so that you can, just to help you understand the role of product marketing better, help you to transition, also give you like tips, best practices, and tell stories of my experience in product marketing and how it can benefit you too. So please follow me if you think this is something you'd like to learn more about, or subscribe. Because I know that all of the information I've shared in this video can be very overwhelming, I took the liberty of breaking down the skill requirements, both like hard and soft skills that you need for like every product marketing role. Well, the majority of product marketing roles. So it should be popping up here or here. Definitely check it out if this is something that you're curious to know more about.